What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap here on the Jersey First TV network. I'm AJ Malillo,
And I'm Stephen Rambola.
and this is Bridging the Gap, and we're on the Jersey First TV network. And if you guys are interested, I highly recommend subscribing, hitting the notification bell, getting the best of our content here at Jersey First, here at Bridging the Gap, the Nader Narrative, and Real Talk. And so, also, while you're at it, you might as well sign up for the pledge. You might as well sign up for our newsletter over on the website over on jerseyfirst.org and just get all the content you can. Get all the information you can about the great state of New Jersey. Anyway, let's get on
Couldn't
with
have
the
said
show.
it better. Couldn't have said it better.
Let's get on with the show. What do you say, Steven? How are you doing? What's your week been like? How you been up to? What have you been up to?
This, you know what? Pretty much another week of just getting by.
Sure.
Nothing crazy, nothing exciting. I wish I had something crazy or exciting to report on, personally, but I've just, you know what I've been doing recently? That's been tremendous for me, and it's been a fun thing for me to like engage in and whatever. I'm going to a new gym, and this new gym has a sauna. I have become obsessed with using the sauna. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. And I've actually started a sauna log. So I did it all of January, and I was like, you know what? I spend a lot of time in here. I want to get some numbers on paper so I can like really track and progress my ability to be in the sauna because I think it's really impressive. It's a big mental battle for me, kind of meditative in a way. Um, so far, my best day this month, granted we're only 9 days in, was this past Sunday. I was in the sauna. This one doesn't get crazy hot. It's 174 degrees, which don't get me wrong, is very hot. But some saunas pump up to like 180, 190. Some of them go up as far as 200, 210, right? So I did 30 minutes on 1.55 seconds straight in the sauna at 174 degrees. And it's awesome. I do a whole workout and then getting in there, getting hot, getting sweaty, feeling loose, letting like all the toxins out. It's great for your skin. You have these insane drops in your likelihood of having a stroke or a cardiac event. It helps with metabolism, and there's just so many great things about the sauna. And it feels kind of very like Joe Rogan esque because I just go in there and I bring a book. I'm reading my David Goggins book for the book club that we're doing, and I just like sweat. And then once I get too sweaty, I put the book away and then I just sit there in silence. And it's a crazy mental battle you have to have with yourself because everything about you is like, get out of here. We are on fire. We are boiling. We need to get out. And then you just got to kind of be in that zone and just be like, no. And then you sit and you sit and you sit and you sit and you sit. Your heart rate jacks up. You burn a lot of calories. It's an awesome experience. Plus,
Sauna
when you walk
Steve.
out, sauna Steve, exactly. When you walk out, your body immediately goes into recovery mode and releases this like massive rush of endorphins, and your mood skyrockets. You feel amazing, and it's great with all the cold weather. Not that we have had much of it, but when it is cold, you walk out and your body's already heated up. So I could walk out, it could be 30 degrees out. I'll walk out in shorts and a t-shirt and I'll be the happiest man in the world. So it's awesome. Sauna Steve in full effect. This
I love
month
that.
alone, this month alone, I have already done we're 9 days in. I've already spent 2 hours in the sauna total.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Sauna
So
Steve, man, full force. He's out here. He's working it in the sauna.
that's
When
what
are
we
we
do.
getting what is it, cryotherapy, Steve?
Cryotherapy, Steve. As soon as Steve has a place to do cryotherapy, I want to push. I'm pushing the frontier into heat. I also want to extend the frontier into the frost, into cold.
Fair.
I really think it's awesome. It's such a fun new way to push the body, engage the mind, and like learn discipline and how to suffer. Learning how to suffer is a great skill.
I, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's been my week. Is just kind of getting hot in a
Suffering,
room. Yeah, made of cedar.
purposely suffering.
Yeah, that's about it. I'm sure you've had a much more exciting week.
I know, really, I haven't. It's been actually a bit
Suffering
of
in a different way.
suffering in a different way. It's just been a bit of a struggle this week. A lot of like motivational issues, just kind of like not feeling like it. One of those types of weeks.
Yeah,
But you push through and you get done what you got to get done, and you move on to the next thing because that's what you got to do. You don't really get
that's
a
it.
choice. So
On to the next one.
overall, pretty boring week. Tomorrow, I have a big interview. I have an interview with the Delaware Attorney General's office for an internship. So we'll see how that goes. And then on Monday, I have an interview with the Montgomery County District Attorney's office in Pennsylvania. So I do have big things coming up, but it was a bit of a slow week in general. So
Sorry, it's gonna pick up real fast.
that's right. That's right. All right, look, let's so we have two stories. One's going to be lighter, and that's what we're going to start with, and then we're going to go into a heavy story. So let's start with the light story. It's going to be quick. And it's first of all, it's Super Bowl. This Sunday,
True.
tomorrow, at the time you're listening to this, is Super Bowl Sunday. We got the Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, and Steve, who do you got?
Um, Let me say this, and I want to be so clear about this.
Sure, sure.
I'm gonna hold the mic. I find absolutely no redeeming qualities anywhere within the city limits of Philadelphia. Um, I think that the fans are beasts and not in a good way, like should be locked away. I think that that team has rode the easiest schedule to the big game, and I believe firmly that Mahomes is going to come out with the Chiefs, Andy Reid, dual wielding cheeseburgers in his fists, and they're going to make a mockery of the Philadelphia Eagles this Super Bowl Sunday. Kansas City all the way, baby.
Okay. So, I mean, look, I go to school in Villanova. I live within the city limits, or the greater Philadelphia area, I should say. I don't live within the city limits of Philly, but the greater Philly area. If I didn't say go birds, I don't think I would be allowed to live anymore, let alone live in this area.
You
So,
know,
I'll also say this: Patrick Mahomes has a hurt ankle. He's got a sprained ankle, and to quote Mr. Drake himself, "It's a sprained ankle, boy. It ain't nothing to play with." So, um, he's he's playing with a high ankle sprain, and I don't know. I think that the Eagles have the most sacks in the history of not in the history, but the most sacks in the NFL this year, and it's going to be a tough day for Mr. Mahomes with that Eagles pass rush. So we'll see. I'm going with the Birds.
now I got to ask you another question about the Super Bowl.
It was
Do
also
we
1 second.
think
That was not a direct quote from Drake. That was more of a paraphrase of the quote. I took some artistic liberties of my own because the actual quote
yes,
is, "I'm like a sprained ankle boy.
boy,
I ain't
I ain't
nothing to
nothing to
play
play
with."
with. Yeah,
So I did do a
started
little
off local.
artistic liberty.
Thanks to all my haters.
Right.
I'm privy to Drake. um, so I have one comment on that, and then another question for you.
Sure, sure.
I do want to say, as a 1L, you should know that comments made under duress and promises and all those things don't have to be true.
Sure,
You're
sure,
under
sure.
duress, so I understand that you're doing this so you can live and breathe free air in the greater Philadelphia region, but it's okay if that's not what you really want. I wanted you to know that. The big question is, well, it's suddenly now two big questions. The first big question: how do we think Rihanna is going to do as halftime show?
Um, I think she'll be great. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, I'm not the hugest Rihanna fan on the block. You're probably a much bigger Rihanna fan than I am, but I'm sure she'll be good. She's a big name, and we'll see what happens there. I don't know how much of it I'll be watching, if we're being completely honest at that point.
I do love me some Riri. I'm very excited. All right, second big question, perhaps the biggest question related to the biggest game. Do we think that Rob Gronkowski makes the FanDuel field goal? Yes or no?
Mm, yes. Gronk.
See,
I think Gronk
I
will
don't
do
think
it.
he's got it. I don't think he's got it.
I think Gronk's got it.
All right. Interesting.
I think Gronk is practicing right now with like Adam Vinatieri or somebody like that, like one of
You
the
think?
great kickers,
You
and
think
he's
he's got
learning.
Tuck? He's
He's
got
got
Tuck on the
Justin
line.
Tucker on speed dial, and he's gonna come out and shock the world
All right. Listen, maybe he'll unretire
and
again
be a kicker.
and be a kicker. Who knows? This could be the start of a new career for Rob Gronkowski.
I'll tell you what, he's probably going to be a better kicker than he is on TV. Like that's what I'll say.
Fair. That's fair. That is totally fair. So we're not the only people who are obviously hedging our bets and taking guesses on the Super Bowl and putting some things up for stake. Your life, I guess. But interestingly, and this is the first story, I think it's just a cool little tidbit and worth talking about to kind of demonstrate how sports sort of capture the American public. We have an interesting bet, something that I've never heard of, and I would love to see more of in the future because I think it's just such a cool concept. On Twitter this past Sunday, I guess during the Pro Bowl when they were doing some Super Bowl promo, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the famous where Rocky does the whole stairs thing, that museum, they had bet it's called the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City, that the Eagles were going to win. And so the stakes are the loser has to, on loan, send the other museum a piece of art from their permanent gallery, which is such a treat because obviously a permanent gallery piece is something that is dedicated to remain in either the Philadelphia Museum of Art or the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art forever. So I think it's awesome because not only are these two, cultural centers getting involved in a pop culture moment, but as an art fan, it's interesting to think that, a piece you would normally have to travel to either Kansas City or Philadelphia to see, if your team wins, it's going to be brought right to your hometown. So I think it's a fun way to engage a different community in sports, in the concepts of betting and wagering. And I don't know, something about the concept of two entities betting things that they possess against each other is like really fun to me.
Yeah, it's definitely an cool, interesting story. I know that there's other similar bets that like cities have made. I don't know necessarily in the art world if this is different, but there are other like small bets that go back and forth, like mayors betting like food. I think that during the Giants Eagles game, there was a bet between the two city mayors. One was like cheesesteaks, and the other was something else. I don't know, some sort of food. Um, and so I thought that's pretty interesting. But I would say that it's cool because Philly and KC are so big for their sports team too. Like everybody
Yes,
in Kansas City is a Chiefs fan. Everybody in Philly is an Eagles fan, and it's a little bit different than like the New York area, which we're more used to from where we are in Jersey, where it's like you have Jets fans, you have Giants fans, you have Yankees fans, you have Mets fans. So like always half the city is kind of out of it. Not these
true.
places, right? The Birds make a run, and you're greeting people with Go Birds, and you're leaving people with Go Birds. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of how the city is.
It's like aloha, like it's both goodbye and hello.
Right, ciao, something like that. Right.
Yeah,
It's the same when the Phillies were on their run in the World Series. It was like go Phils. That's like how you just left the room.
that's crazy.
So it's
That is
cool. It's a
crazy.
it's a cool environment to be in. So I think that's fun that the whole city gets involved. Really, like genuinely, the whole city's in it. People sign
Yeah,
emails off, like professional emails end with "Go Birds." Like that's just how it is.
that's insane to me. That's so funny though, and it's so special to see a city have that kind of pride for their team. I mean, Kansas City has a shining star in Patrick Mahomes and a real funny guy in Travis Kelsey, and I mean Philadelphia is proud of whatever they can gather because there ain't much there. So it's
Oh
just
no,
nice.
they're a
It's
good team.
nice.
They are a very good team.
I think Jalen Hurts, all jokes aside, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a phenomenal quarterback for that franchise if he can stay there.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is good. They have a good wide receiver core. They have a great defensive line. And now we're getting too much into this being a sports pod, but um, so we can move on from that. But so you heard it. I got the Birds. Steve's got the Chiefs. We'll see what's going on. Steve and I will be in Atlantic City this weekend. Maybe we'll throw some bets on the Super Bowl. That might be
Oh,
fun.
all right. One more bet, notorious bet for the Super Bowl. I think it's always probably one of the most fun ones. What color is the Gatorade going to be?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs will have. If the Chiefs win, the Gatorade's going to be blue,
My
and if the
mother
Eagles,
said the
they're gonna
same
be
thing.
white. It's gonna be white Gatorade
Oh,
for the Eagles.
interesting.
Yeah.
See, so I'm thinking Chiefs win, orange. Orange
Okay.
Gatorade for the win.
Sure. Sure.
Eagles win. I'm going yellow because it's lemon lime and there's not that many, like, it's nothing to be excited about, you know?
I
I'm
think
really projecting hard.
it would be interesting if the Eagles win and they went with the red Gatorade. It's kind of like a rub in.
That would be like a little mind trick, right?
Right.
We'll have to see. Very
We
exciting.
will have to see. All right. Unfortunately, we have to put the fun and games aside for the next story, which is a
Yeah.
big one and it's an important topic. Um, and it's a tough topic to talk about. There's a couple of things I want to just put out in the onset that this is happening at my alma mater, the high school I graduated from in New Jersey. So I just wanted that to be fully known and addressed before we get into the topic that I know the administrators that are being, under fire, I'll say personally. Um, and I have a very good relationship with them. So I just want that to be addressed and known. But so this is a story that comes out of Central Regional High School in Bayville, and it's pretty much hit, I guess, national news at this point because it was on
Definitely.
NBC New York, and um, yeah, so it's a big story. Basically, what happened was there was a young girl. She was a freshman um, at Central, and there was a organized jumping by four other young girls at the school. And then afterwards, they recorded the video of the fight. I don't even want to call it a fight because it wasn't a fight; it was a jumping. They recorded a video of the jumping and continued to bully her. And then just a few days after that made its rounds on TikTok, the young girl, her name was Adriana Kutch, took her own life uh, tragically. And the girls now 48 hours, it was 48 hours after the video of the bullying surfaced that she took her own life. And then the four students, all girls that were involved in it, were suspended indefinitely. And there were criminal charges from what I've seen. I see that in this New York NBC article, they say that the prosecutor hasn't updated on possible criminal charges, but knowing a lot of people in the community, I've seen that I think three of the girls were being charged with felony assault. This is also social media posts, so
So
take it with
I
a grain of salt.
just for that, what you're saying was reported by NJ12.
That the assault charges were reported.
Yes, so
Okay, I'm
three
looking
assault
at an
charges.
NBC article. So okay,
Yeah, three
yeah,
assault
it's three
charges and a
assault
disorderly
charges
persons
and
and disorderly
disorderly
conduct.
persons. Yeah. So from what I've understood, is these girls planned this jumping of Adriana, and two of the girls were recording it, or maybe it was, I guess, one of the girls, because three of them got charged with the felony assault. So one of the girls was recording it, and sh- if you see the video, I mean, it's tough to watch because it's just unconscionable. Like she's just walking down the hallway with her boyfriend, and this girl runs up behind her and hits her with a water bottle. The water bottle breaks on her head, and then she starts like grabbing her by the hair. The boyfriend tries to break it up, and no teachers jump in to stop it for a while. And then, from what I understand, the reason that the superintendent and the principal are under fire is because, and the I forget the official title, something along the lines of like the dean of anti-bullying or something like that. Um, they didn't handle the situation before it got to that point in an effective manner, obviously, because these girls that committed the attack didn't, like, there was a history. People knew that they were bullies and they were mean and they were doing this type of stuff. So they didn't handle that situation quickly enough. And then they didn't suspend these girls quickly enough. They have now, but there was a bit of issues when it came to how they addressed the situation. Dr. Parlapanides, who's the district superintendent, said that he acted within what's in line with the school policy, but there were quotes saying that he didn't suspend the girls right away because they were um, under criminal investigation, and he didn't want to, hit them with a double whammy, basically, in suspending them and them being under criminal investigation, which isn't a good quote. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try and justify it, even though I personally have a very good relationship with Dr. P. It wasn't a good. It's not a good quote. It's not a good look for the school. I'm proud of the school that I graduated from, but this, especially when it comes to our administration, has been a very, very bad look. And I can only speak from personal experience. That's all I have. I was never involved in a situation of either being bullied or bullying another person. Um, like, I can't speak to how they handle the situation because I've never sat in the chair on the side on either side. So I don't know. I know that other people have stories that there's been a past history of not handling these situations well, and um, I'm very sorry to hear that now because I personally didn't have any experiences like that, and I think we all know that bullying is a severe issue, and uh, you know, kids. When a 14-year-old girl takes her own life, it puts into perspective how serious it is, um, and it's it's a difficult thing to talk about for sure. So, um, obviously, thoughts with her family, and there's only so much you could do. The girls are going to be criminally charged. I don't know if they're going to be charged as adults. I know that people want them to be. I don't know if they're going to be. That's a decision for the prosecutor to make. Um, but they are minors, so we're not going to say their names, obviously. And now these girls, now that this family has to live without their daughter and their sister, um, and these girls, you know, have to live with what they did, and it's I struggle to say to not say it's deservingly so, um, because they've been bullying this girl and drove her to this point. Uh, so it's just a hard situation, and you see a lot of alumni jumping on the attacking the school um, bandwagon, I'll say, and I can't speak from experience. Some of them can, so I'm not going to say one way or the other whether I think that these people should lose their jobs or anything like that because I have a good relation personally. I have a good relationship with them, and I think that they do a very good job at the school. And this has been a difficult situation, and it's been I can't even put myself in their shoes, and to understand what they're going through, because in my 4 years, nothing like this ever happened. We didn't lose anybody like this. Nothing. There were kids that were bullied for sure. There were kids that hurt themselves, but nothing this severe. Uh, it's tough situation. But Steve, I'll let you talk about it because give yours 2 cents.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most first and most important thing, like you said, is to just acknowledge the severity of what this is, and it's sending the thoughts not only to the family, but to the community at large. This is something that I mean, one of the guys I work with, his cousin is a student there, so this is home. This is the community, and the community has a lot of questions to think about and look for answers to those questions. So my thoughts are also with the community, the students, the teachers, the friends, the extracurriculars that she's involved in, the neighbors, like everybody, because to see such a young woman driven to such a helpless place and to make such a permanent decision is jarring. And I think it's affords the community a moment of reflection to really consider how we need to move about and ensure that we make sure our children, A, are safe, and B, are mentally healthy and really improve upon and push a stronger message of mental health and what caring for that looks like, and maybe having more tools and teaching about access to the kinds of services and counseling and therapy and all of the things that could help prevent anybody from making the decision, unfortunately, that this young woman made. I find myself really stuck when it comes to any commentary about the way that the schools handled this, because as far as I know and as far as I'm concerned, they've acted within the currently prescribed procedures for what happened. That being said, I think if there's any moment to reevaluate, it's now, because you have a community that's upset. You have a father who claims that they didn't even take her or suggest that she go receive any secondary medical attention. In the video, which I haven't seen and I have no interest in seeing, she allegedly blacked out while she was, being beat up on. And he said all they did was send her to the nurse. And if this was a street fight and somebody's blacked out and they're bleeding, you're calling an ambulance. They're going to the hospital. So I think that's a completely fair gripe to hold, and maybe some policy that should be looked at. I think, again, the comments from Dr. P about you don't want to double whammy these girls. I'm sorry. Double whammy them, triple whammy them. There's no excuse for behavior like this. And to what it sounds like, seemingly, hide behind policy and this sort of, I didn't want to be too hard. And if you're not going to be hard now, there's no time, no better time to be hard on your students. And unfortunately, there are people in situations that need to be made examples out of. And I think that this is one of those situations. So I would agree that the messaging from the school hasn't necessarily been as supportive or encouraging that this is going to be an issue that's going to be solved in any productive way. On top of that, I will say there was a group of students the day after this had happened that did conduct a walkout. I saw that there was parents involved. I was reading that there was some local pizza owners that were trying to bring pies over and support the cause and the kids, but police wouldn't let them get there. And then uh, again, I didn't attend this school. I'm not an alumni, so I don't know what that particular school community is like. But I know that there are kids still who were planning on engaging in these demonstrations because in some of the things I've been reading, they're alleging that this is not the first time that a bullying claim has gone sort of unaddressed in this school, and that this is repeated behavior that's just gone to the extreme. So the only thing that I found to be a little disheartening was the statement that they made recently that any demonstrations that aren't pre-approved by the school district are going to be met with disciplinary action. I would encourage and urge the administrators who are making that decision to put yourself in those kids' shoes and what it feels like to lose a classmate and, you know, be a 14-year-old, a freshman in high school in this new era where bullying, I mean, they even said it, they're not the internet police. But he said, we also don't ignore these things, but you don't know what happens when these kids go home and what happens on the phone and what gets said. And, you know, it's all because of connections and things that happened in school. I'm not saying that means the school's necessarily liable, but there is a new dynamic to this. And if these kids want to usher in a new policy that's going to serve them better and, you know, maybe prevent the next person from getting to that point that this young woman did and want to do that by walking out, I support it entirely. The community clearly supports it. And to see the school say that it has to be approved, otherwise they're going to take disciplinary action is just really disheartening. Let these kids express themselves. This is not now a regular student body. This is a grieving student body. This is a student body who lost a classmate, who lost a friend, and they are unhappy with the way that the place that they go to every day, where they're supposed to feel safe, secure, and heard, they have a problem with the way that they're handling that. So I would say the administration needs to open their ears. They need to let these kids express themselves because this is how things work in real life. So the same way we need to discipline those girls, we need to let these other kids have the opportunity to be heard and continue to be heard. So it's
Yeah.
tragic. It's unfortunate. It's close to home. And I think, again, there's an opportunity for a larger commentary about the way that bullying and schools handle it within this particular generation and the generations to come is going to be such a huge issue and is going to require that we get students on board and we get parents on board and we have administrators that are willing to listen and you know, be open to policy change. So I hope that good can come out of the situation.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself, and I did want to mention that the kids that did walk out and protest, and I, I mean, I'm sure some of the kids were there while I substituted there because I substituted during COVID and I went there, and I want, if any of the students do hear this, like I want them to know that they had my full support, 100%. That's exactly what you should be doing if you want to effectuate change. I also, if the administration hears this, like it's a it's been a really bad PR look so far about how you've handled the situation in general, even if you are just following policy, and to discipline these kids who are trying to effectuate the change that should happen and discipline them. It's not going to help your situation at all. Let the kids protest, let the kids grieve, let the kids speak their mind because they deserve that. The kids and people now adults that I went to school with that have stories of the school not addressing bullying as they should, those people should be heard too, and they should be able to tell their stories and experience that they had. And the school should take this as an opportunity to update those policies and learn from those policies and do better, because you don't want something like this to happen, obviously. And I'm not saying that they did. I think
Yeah.
that they clearly didn't. And look, I think other than the student body having my absolute full support and my thoughts being with the family and the friends of the young girl that took her own life. I think my only other note is if you are somebody that is struggling with with getting bullied, with feeling isolated, with all of these things, it's a Jordan Peterson quote, and I think it works. It's apropos right now. It's don't underestimate the hole that you'll leave in the world. Like, even in a moment that you feel like there is nobody there, nobody is looking for you, everybody's looking at you, and nobody loves you, nobody wants you. Um, don't don't underestimate your effect on the people around you. Um, you are more important than you realize. I think that um, you know, 14 years old, uh, everything around you is changing. Your body is changing, your mind is changing. You're going to a different, you're going from a middle school to a high school, and that can be really, really hard. Um, like you you matter and you are loved, and there's there are people there for you. Um, so even if you feel like the people at the higher ups at the school aren't there for you, you know people are there for you. And if you feel like that's an issue, maybe join those protests and join those walkouts, because that should be addressed and that should be changed. Because look, I personally felt safe within those walls and heard within those walls, but I understand that not everybody felt that way, and everybody should have felt that way. Um, so find a teacher that you do trust and talk to them, because there's going to be teachers there that have your back. I know them. I know, like, there's plenty of your back.
I think too this would just be appropriate and within our journalistic integrity to just mention that since we are talking about the topic and it is heavy and it is an issue, and many people do make such a permanent decision every day, to sort of reiterate what AJ said, and the general point of, if you are somebody that struggles with these things, there is help. Help is there. You are loved, and there are people that do care about you, like you said. And very recently, actually, they just passed legislation, and now we have, obviously, for emergencies, you call 911. There's also now a designated 3-digit number for the suicide and crisis hotline, which is 988. So if you are that person and, this message happens upon you and you need that help, there is help there for you, Um, so I just want to say again, my heart goes out to the young girl who made that decision, and it's heartbreaking. I can't imagine what the pain that she felt, and her family, all her friends, the school, the community at large, and anybody that this story reaches, and may empathize with her and see some of themselves in her experiences. My heart goes out to you too, and I just want all you to know that you are loved, you are appreciated, and you don't have to take a permanent solution to a fixable temporary problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to close it here, so we have to leave on this somber note. But Steve, I think that we'll leave it with what you said, because I couldn't say it any better. So look, that's going to do it for us. And if you need anything, if you need a place to reach out to, and you're in that situation, like Steve said, 988 is the 3-digit number to remember for people that are going through something like that. So I hope you have a good week. I hope everybody has a better week. And we will talk to you all on next Saturday. So just tell the people you love them. Give them a hug. I'm AJ Malillo.
I'm Steven Rambola.
Have a good one.